90% of the states in the country order ByHeart.com every day.
Hello, I'm John Jannarone, Editor-in-Chief of Exec Edge. Happy to be in Orlando at ICR Conference 2025. I've got a really special guest here because we actually use the company's products within my family. We have the CEO of ByHeart. This is Ron Belldegrun. Ron, thanks for joining.
John, thanks so much for having me. Great
so for those of you who are not familiar, I'll let the man himself explain it, but my son, who's 10 months old, eats this formula every day, and it is very good for you. In fact, my wife had no trouble whatsoever once we went from breast milk to ByHeart formula. So let me let you tell about the business. What was the inspiration for this business, and why it has not been done sooner?
Yeah, well, first of all, nothing makes me happier than speaking with a happy customer. But look, you obviously are familiar with the category. Infant formula is for the 80% of the country that chooses not to breastfeed exclusively and introduces formula. This is the only other suitable form of sole source nutrition. Like, this is the only food that a baby eats in a time when all of their systems are developing.
Yeah.
Their immune, their gut, their microbiome. There is no food that is more important as a functional food. This sets the foundation for health. But despite its importance, it's a category where two companies have dominated 80% of it for over 100 years.
Yeah.
And the barriers to innovating are so high that the science has moved much faster actually than the products have. And so it's created a dynamic where a lot of the products feel very far from breast milk. Parents feel as though they're often compromising the first decision they make as parents. And really, we started the business because there was no reason for this divide between breast milk and formula to exist. We're actually in the most exciting era in nutrition science and breast milk research and breakthroughs in this category. It could really be doing much, much better for babies, but the barriers, as I said, are so high that it required a very kind of new approach, which over the last 6-7 years we forged to really build from scratch and fully vertically integrate and run major clinical trials to really bring forth kind of the first really new infant formula in a very long time.
Great. We're going to get more into this later, but I'd like to point out that you've gotten tremendous financial support, raised $395 million, and that money's needed, I guess, in order to develop this and do the R&D. Is that where most of this money has gone into development of the product?
Look, we feed the world's most vulnerable consumer, our infants, right? So this isn't your ordinary kind of consumer category. It requires significant expertise and upfront build in order to truly innovate, right? There was an easier way, right? When we looked at this category 7 years ago, there were 4 companies that manufactured infant formula. 3 own 90% of the market.
Wow.
So they're not, manufacturing for a new entrant. And every new brand in the last 20 years had all taken the same kind of expedited approach, which is if you go to the one and only contract manufacturer in the country, stay the same as their recipe from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You stay the same as that, you can skip the 5 years of work required to bring a new infant formula to market.
Right.
Problem is you can't change anything, and you're largely kind of white labeling an old product and marketing it as new. Had we done that, we would have launched 6 years ago and certainly would not have had to raise the capital that we did. But we didn't start the company to put a label on a can. We wanted to really translate troves of advancements in breast milk research to better products. We knew full well what that would take. And so we decided to take a path no new entrant had, which was bring the world's experts together in breast milk research, really rewrite the recipe to bring forth the first really new infant formula in a long time, run a major 300 baby clinical trial to really prove those benefits, and we fully vertically integrated. We own 3 manufacturing facilities across the country, and in owning that farm to formula supply chain, we can really handcraft and handpick the highest quality ingredients and kind of own that end to end. So when you forge that type of approach, certainly, a lot of capital needs to be raised, and we're, grateful that we've had very supportive kind of investors and board of directors that, appreciated what it took to really build a quality first and innovative company in such an important category.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, I believe that my family buys this directly from your website, but do you also have wholesale partners so you can buy it, brick and mortar locations, or how does that work?
Absolutely. John, we wanted to be everywhere parents are. We didn't want to force parents to one channel or another for business reasons. And so we took a very kind of omni-channel approach. What that means is we're available in 5,000 stores of retail We're live in Target, Walmart, a lot of grocers, Publix, Meijer, Wegmans, Whole Foods. We also sell on Amazon, where we're available as well, and on, as you said, our direct-to-consumer platform, ByHeart.com, where something like over 90% of the states in the country order ByHeart.com every day.
Gotcha. I'm curious, when you put the formula together, the ingredients in the formula, do you avoid, allergens, things like soy that might not be good for babies? I mean, I'm just kind of curious about what the blend of ingredients is.
Yeah. We're equally discerning about what we put in as what we take out of this formula. Wonderfully about this category, there's a blueprint, right? Breast milk is the most original superfood, right? And over our time in existence, breast milk has evolved to deliver really, really specific proteins in the first sip your baby takes that drive the immune system and develop the gut and are really easy to digest when your baby's system hasn't even developed. Yeah. Those proteins have largely been missing from infant formula, which today is largely skim milk and whey protein concentrate. That is not the intentional design of breast milk. So we created a patented protein blend that gets closer to breast milk than ever before, brings the two most abundant proteins in breast milk to formula for the first time, together with broken down proteins that are really easy to digest, and this sort of patented blend that is the key to driving all these benefits that we demonstrated. Less spit up, easier digestion, softer stools, longer stretches between nighttime feeds, better nutrient absorption, etc. But also because we own this farm to formula supply chain, we could really do it through cleanest ingredients. So we're the first formula to use grass-fed organic whole milk, not skim. And the first to get at your question, to be Clean Label certified. So Clean Label is an external party that looks at over 400 different contaminants, heavy metals, etc. We were the first to really kind of assert that we want others to really vet us. And we went to them, we look at over 700 contaminants, and we received all 3 of their certifications. And then we're really the first formula to demonstrate all these benefits, but to your point, without corn syrup and maltodextrin and soy and these things that you don't want in your own diet, much less your baby's.
Perfect. One thing that I find interesting is you have a one formula approach. Some of the other guys out there have a few different kinds. Tell me why that's the better path.
This is an incredibly overwhelming shelf. You imagine a parent who either just me too, either who just breastfed and feels amazing feeding the most natural and functional nutrition in the world, or a parent who wanted to breastfeed and couldn't, or a parent who chose not to, and then they wind up to this shelf where there's 193 products. Each is very incrementally different from one another, very marketing driven shelf, like one ingredient drives one claim. So a parent is standing there saying, okay, do I want to go over here to the easy digestion section where I want one for easy digestion, or do I want this one for brain, or do I want this one for immune, or this new ingredient sounds good in this one, or do I want a clean one? Breast milk doesn't come in 100 versions, right? It's the most natural and functional nutrition. And so we didn't want to create endless options. We wanted to create the one, right, that drives those benefits of breast milk through clean ingredients. And we were pretty steadfast in that. Many people would have told us many years ago, hey, you're never going to be able to scale in retail with one SKU. You need to get shelf space. You need to do all these meaningless additional SKUs, etc. It's very, very validating. This past year, it's been wonderful to see that, we launched with Target. We're now the number 2 product at Target out of their shelf of 70. Initially, we had just two products on the shelf in a sea of incumbents. But today, they've more than tripled our shelf space. We have a full block of ByHeart, all with one SKU. So it's been wonderful to see that there are other partners in our retail partners broadly that also want to simplify this experience for parents and create kind of that a better experience. And so we've seen that kind of play out over the past year and continue to drive that.
Great. Let's just touch on your financing once again for 1 second. So as I mentioned, very, very successful in attracting capital. Do you think that you can continue to grow tapping the private markets for the next couple of years? What are your plans on that front? Or maybe you don't need any more money right now?
Look, we've been really grateful to have, a board and investors that, from the outset have really understood what it takes to build, a really innovative, quality first business. Have been very, very supportive. And, we have over the course of the last 6-7 years built a 3-site supply chain, fully integrated R&D, manufacturing, infrastructure. I think a really best-in-class team, and it was 6 years of development to get into market, and now the company is growing, is, as I mentioned, kind of a top 5 product across a lot of our retailers, and it's continuing to grow and expand, I think, the e-commerce and direct-to-consumer part of the category. So the company will continue to lean into making this product really broadly accessible nationally, and continue to invest in really innovation. As I mentioned, we ran a major 300-baby clinical trial, but this platform was built not to innovate once, but to continue to innovate. So we have a deep pipeline of programs as well that we'll continue to develop and bring internationally eventually as well.
Great. Well, let's talk about that. In fact, let's just look ahead in 2025. What are the key growth drivers for the business? You're already sold with all the biggest retailers I can think of, the ones you rattled off. International markets you mentioned, is that the future for continued growth?
Yes, look, you're right. 2024 was a year of rapid expansion, and we grew our distribution, over 200%. We forged great relationships with wonderful retailers across the country. 2025 is in continuing to deepen those relationships, continue to make this product very broadly accessible. One of the things that we're really proud of is that, this isn't a product that is, bought on the coasts, right? Like, it was very important to bring up the value of the product, but do it at roughly parity pricing. And we're seeing that national distribution now, where over 90% of the stores in our 5,000 retail kind of distribution are scanning every week, and 90% of states in the country order every day. So very broad national
that's great.
accessibility. So in 2025, we'll continue to drive that access, continue to invest in our kind of other products that we're developing and continuing to innovate. And yes, I don't know that international will necessarily be in 2025, but we're continuing to focus on that that expansion, because look, there are a lot of geographies where similar dynamics exist. 1 or 2 incumbents have dominated for a very long time, and there's an ability to get kind of the latest to those geographies as well.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Ron, this has been really, really interesting. And again, I'm a happy customer of ByHeart. This has been the CEO of ByHeart, Ron Belldegrun. I'm John Jannarone, Editor-in-Chief Exec Edge, signing off from Orlando.